Good evening and welcome to the Living Well podcast. Living Well is an acronym, and WELL stands for the W is for whole, being mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and financially fit. The E stands for empower to live life on a different level. And both the L's stands for leading with love, love for God, love for ourselves, and love for others. This is the focus of the Living Well podcast as we dedicate our time to holistic wellness so that you can thrive in life and not merely survive. Who's ready for that? Go ahead and put it in the comments. I am your host, Yolanda Cooksey. I am a certified mindset coach and a health and nutrition life coach. Just for housekeeping, if you are watching this episode live, go ahead and drop an L in the comment field. And if you're watching it on replay, go ahead and put an R in the comment field so that we know that you are either here while we're doing the action or you caught it on the replay. Also, if anytime during this discussion, and I'm so excited, God worked this thing out and I have a surprise guest. I did go back. I didn't make a picture, but I put a post in that I have a surprise guest that I am so excited about tonight. So we are going to be having a discussion. And if you find value, I want you to put the word value. And if there's anything that you relate to, I want you to go ahead and put the word relate. What that does is that builds communication that allows other people to see that they are not alone in whatever is happening in their lives and that they can reach out and talk to someone else. So I do want to give a disclaimer that, since this is Mental Health Awareness Month, my disclaimer is that I want to create a safe space where we can talk about some of the stigma that surrounds mental health. I also want to bring awareness about the reality of mental health issues and provide resources and support systems that are available. So if at any time you feel that you are having some issues or something triggers, something that was said triggers, I want you to just really stop. I want you to take a deep breath. And I just want you to know that you are not alone, that we are here with you and that you can get through this. So I am going to bring my guest on. And I'm just excited. She's been on the platform before. And so I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Sonia. Sonia, did you make the call? Oh, I guess
I
there we
did.
go.
I'm here.
Yes. So Sonia has been on the podcast before. Sonia's career is in IT. She's also a self-published author of, I know of 5 books, I think. I don't think there's some more, but at least 5 books. But when it comes to the topic tonight, which is breaking the cycle, how generational trauma influences our mental health, man, this is not only my sister, this is family, this is my cousin, y'all.
So
And
we know.
talk about generational stuff, So Sonia, tell us a little bit about yourself besides what I just said. And we're gonna get started with this discussion.
I am definitely a self-proclaimed mental health advocate, um, just based off of things that we dealt with in our families and just life in general. As I learned a lot about myself over the years, mental health has become very important to me. So that's what I'm going to label myself as, a self-proclaimed mental health advocate.
Well, I agree with that self-proclamation. And I also I agree with it, and I
Yep, that's what
also
it is.
myself as well. Okay. And I forgot to do something here. So really quick, let me go on here. And of course, you see needing glasses up close and be like, hey, wait a minute, what happened? All right, here we go. What is this thing doing? See, I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on. Let me get this straight here. No. Okay, so they done did something. Oh, here we go. Now I'm cooking with Crisco. Here we go. And this is what I want to do. All right. Okay, okay, okay. Now we're good. I think we're good. Yes, we are good. Thank you very much. All right. So I was able to get on Facebook and then share it to my personal profile. So because that's normally where I have been doing my lives. And there,
Hmm.
time something is working good. It's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. What is the
And they do
problem?
it anyway.
Anyway, they do it anyway. So tonight's topic, like I said, is breaking the cycle, how generational trauma influences our mental health. Now, we both know this is a topic that is very difficult to talk about. A lot of
For sure.
people tend to shy away from talking about the generational trauma. For one, it brings up painful memories. It also brings feelings of shame or guilt. And it also opens one up to have to be vulnerable. And so that sense of vulnerability kind of shies people away.
Hmm.
Additionally, there could be a fear, fear of judgment or being misunderstood. And so what we want to do is we want to take a look at, how are we going to break this cycle of generational trauma? What's your take on that? Do you agree with what they said? What I was, because this is from research that I found
Hmm.
about why a lot of people tend to shy away from the fear of judgment, and it can be challenging to confront and process trauma that's been passed down through generations. What's your
I
take on it?
completely, I completely agree. I think it takes a certain level of emotional intelligence to open yourself up and be honest about it, and have a thick skin when people counteract what you're saying or sharing with judgment, um, disbelief, even.
That's a good one. Like it this didn't happen.
No,
That's not
right,
true.
right.
And so we,
Especially
yeah,
if
we,
they know the cause of your trauma. No, I met him or her. They don't look like that. You know, what does it look like?
and how many times have we been told that, you can't judge a person on what they look like?
Right.
You
Yeah.
go by their actions, what they say, what they do, what they're actually doing. And
Right.
even yet when it comes to generational trauma, it's like, no, 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 we want to keep this quiet. We don't want it to reflect badly on the family, or
Right.
different things like that. And it's like, it's not about reflecting badly on the family, or even to the point where you're trying to place blame on any specific person,
Mhm.
but you can't ignore it
Mhm.
and act like it doesn't happen. And
But
so
either if you try to avoid it, it's still a bad reflection, because if you don't talk about it, but you're acting out of the trauma that you weren't able to share with somebody, then they
Mhm.
look at you different. They look at your family like, "Oh, you must come from a bad family to have behavior like that," but you're being told not to share what happened. So it's
Right.
judgment either way.
Right. I totally agree with that. Well, let's go ahead and we're going to look at what exactly is generational trauma. Because a lot of times, and we had talked about this a little bit earlier,
Mhm.
people talk about generational trauma, but they don't really go into any detail as to what generational trauma is. And so
Right.
research has shown that there is a but I don't know if they said research has shown, okay, well, it's always been there. We would just
Mhm.
refuse to look at it. But there is, now to my opinion, it just suggests a strong connection between mental health and generational trauma. And the reason for that is because generational trauma refers to the transmission, that means the passing down, like you said, of
Mhm.
trauma from one generation to the next, often through learned behaviors, beliefs, and mechanisms. So when we look at generational trauma, we're looking at abuse, whether it's physical abuse, whether it's mental abuse, whether it's
Mhm.
emotional abuse, whether it's sexual abuse, whether it was racism, what do you call a cultural abuse of a specific race of people, that's still abuse. And
Mhm.
then it's also neglect. And this is something that until about, I want to say about 4 months ago, I didn't see the big picture, and things didn't really like come together until I was like, oh my gosh, wow. The neglect, the abandonment,
Mhm.
rejection. I didn't put that on the rejection and the manipulation. I was like,
You put the heavy ones
dude.
on it.
What?
Those are heavy.
Okay. And a lot of it, we don't even realize that it happened until
Mm-mm.
later in life. And I share a story, because I do a reflection every year, and I think it was in 20, and this is part of my story. I'm jumping a little ahead of myself. But I, I have to do those reflection periods every at the end of each year.
Mhm.
And one of the reflections that I did, I think it was last year, is what relationship wise. Like
Mm.
I've been married, I've been divorced twice. Both of them were physically and verbally abusive relationships. I looked back over my relationships with men, and besides one, I I can honestly, I had to really be honest. Like you said, that open and honest part, I have to really be open and honest with myself. It
Mhm.
it didn't go well.
Right.
And so I had to really think about, well, why was it not going well? What happened? And so as I've been in a different season right now where I'm dealing with an aging parent that has some mental health issues, I started to see the rejection. I started to see the manipulation, the abandonment, the neglect, and actually saw it back like 3 generations.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I was like, dude, this is some serious stuff, because I then reflected back over my life, and I was like, for as far back as I could remember.
Mhm.
And if you guys can relate, put relate in the comment field. If you're finding value, go ahead and put value in the comment field. But as far back as I remember, I was experiencing these types of traumas in my life. What
Right.
about you?
You don't realize it. Something that remembered as you were talking about what generational symbols of generational trauma. You hear a lot about biases, and part of that emotional abuse or cultural abuse that you talked about, those cause us to develop implicit biases. We don't know, or unconscious biases, excuse me, because
Mm-hmm.
we don't realize all the things that we were told and taught at home, how we carry that as adults into our work life, our relationships, whether personal, um, personal and work relationships. We things that we were taught growing up that may not necessarily have been true or right. We
Mm-hmm.
cast those on other people. So sometimes we don't give people an opportunity to interact with us based on what we were taught. We don't give them an
Right.
opportunity to present their true selves. We don't want to talk to them. We just automatically assume this is what I was taught as a child. This is what my family embedded in my head. So this is true about this person or group of people. So
Mm-hmm.
these traumas run deep.
They do run deep. And Moana just commented, and this is something that I actually ran across while I was studying on this topic, and I wanted to get back to it. But she was like,
Mhm.
energetic transfer from emotional trauma stored in the body as well. Thoughts as well are energetic transfers passed through the womb. And so that
Mm.
was something that I actually, when I started looking under it, I think it was psychology.com, one of these therapists had done an article, and the article was talking about how when we have our parents had us in their womb, the eggs would, for females, the eggs would determine, and when we were in the womb, whatever trauma that parent experienced, that child experienced too.
Wow.
And so then before the child is even born, and it's so freaking true. I was like,
Right.
oh my God, this is freaking, because we're transferring this stuff in it. And I even went back to my oldest son. I was
Mhm.
about maybe 6 months pregnant, and I was taking a psychology class. And I would put the earphones on my stomach, and he would listen to it. That boy
Mhm.
can try and out talk you and have you thinking you the one that's crazy. And I said, see, it's because I put them earphones on.
So
But
what I
when I
hear you
went,
say is the traits of our children are our fault. That's what I hear you saying to me. That is a hard
girl,
pill to swallow. I don't.
that's a hard pill.
Yeah, I would like to reject that right now.
You,
I would like to reject that right
but you know what? Like you said,
now.
we can reject it, but
Yeah,
and that was
it's
the
the
thing.
truth.
When you really dig deep into this healing journey and see how
Mhm.
far back in the generations that some of this stuff goes, like you
Mhm.
said, it was a hard pill to swallow. Like no wonder people was doing things that they were doing because they was jacked up and hurt too. And the other thing I just discovered this last night, which threw me for a loop.
Uh
So
oh.
as a child, when you have a very controlling or very critical parent,
Mhm.
control is a defense mechanism or response to trauma. I was
Okay.
like, because they're trying to control the environment to make sure that they don't get quote unquote hurt. They protect themselves from hurt. So what do? I control every situation around me. I looked at, you're controlling the man, you're controlling the marriage, you're controlling the relationship, you're controlling,
Mm. Mhm.
you're controlling the kids, you're controlling, at your job. You don't nobody can tell you anything, but you know everything. So you're controlling everything. It's a
Because you
critical
lack control somewhere else
because of past
in your life.
or you've experienced some type of rejection, neglect,
Mhm. Mhm.
manipulation, or abandonment in your life and have it healed from it. And then now
Mhm.
you feel that you have to, it's a defense mechanism. I was like,
Right.
this
I
is
can
deep.
see that.
I thought I was through learning stuff, but no.
Never. Never
I was
done.
like, no. I was like, dang, this is wow. It was, yeah. It was,
It makes sense. It does make sense. I can personally relate to that because when you're in a situation, a relationship even, where
Mhm.
you don't feel like you're heard, like your voice is always being quieted, outside of that relationship, you fight super hard to be heard. Man. See, I learned
Mhm.
something new today.
See, well, and this is the thing. I literally like, when God revealed this to me, I literally broke down crying. And,
Mm,
because I could so clearly see how the reason why I behaved a certain way, or
right.
I thought the certain, certain thoughts that I had or beliefs that I had, and
Mhm.
it all made sense. And I really asked God, I was like, Lord, please heal me from this, because then I was taking those traumatic experiences and passing them
Passing
to
them on.
my children who now
Right.
have children. And I was like, Lord. And so it's important, that to understand that this healing journey is
Mhm.
not just for us, it's for others around us, it's for our immediate family, it's for others, that are connected to us, our friends,
Mhm.
and different things like that. So man, this is ooh we. So
And
we're
it's
gonna get
ongoing.
into yes,
Oh,
and it's
I thought we had
ongoing.
got into it. We
But
were
no,
in
so we finna get into the steps. So we talked about, and I loved, oh my God, this is so, and you guys don't know, I had so many technical difficulties. I was like, you know what, devil is a lie. This is going to be
right.
good tonight. And because there was too much going on that was trying to interfere, but that's okay because God is in control. So we are going to now talk about the 4 steps of how, because we want to help somebody. We don't just want to talk
Mhm.
about, what generational trauma is, how it impacts your
Mhm.
mental health. Well, okay, I got some issues. How do I deal with that? What do I do to break the chains? Because I'm tired and I need to, I wanna get better. And so what we
Mhm.
want to do is we want to look at how do we break the chains of generational trauma. So the first step is understanding that breaking the cycle of generational trauma is a journey. And I think both you and I talked about it. And you even just said, oh, I learned something today.
Mhm.
I learned something last night. And I've been on this journey for 20 years, good while.
yeah. Yeah.
And I learned something. So it's a journey. It's never ending. It's something that we need to embrace. We need to be patient with
Mhm.
ourselves, with others. We need to make sure that we're, reflecting on self, not just pointing the finger, because I had this discussion, I think, a couple
It's
weeks ago
hard.
with one of my grandchildren, some of them, somebody. When you're pointing that finger, there's three other
Pointing
fingers
back.
pointing back at you. So that means it's more important for you to look at yourself. And if we spent more time looking at ourselves, that self-reflection, we wouldn't have time to be pointing out nobody else's stuff.
Right.
Sometimes I've got some girlfriends, and you agree with me, if you have some that, gossip, if y'all can relate, they want to call and talk about what somebody did and how somebody living. I ain't got time. Listen, I'm dealing with
Right.
my own stuff.
I'm reflecting on how I'm living. What's going on? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And this is like, you got too much time on your hand. So when we understand that, the self-reflection, patience, making a commitment to our own healing and growth, don't be so focused on other people around us, but really
Mm-hmm.
tune into us, get to know us, change us. And when we change us, other people around us will change, because that expectation, will change. You won't allow
Sometimes
some
your
people.
environment changes. Hello?
Environment changes, and you better understand who you are, whose you are, and set those boundaries, and don't let toxic people continue to have their way.
Mm-hmm.
Step number 2 is don't embark on your healing journey alone. You take that one, girlfriend.
Um, I believe in this wholeheartedly. With number one, for me, change my environment and not doing this journey by myself, finding yourself a core group of friends or sense of community that share some of the same thoughts and passions that help you. I mean, there's nothing like talking to yourself, but it's so much better when you talk to other people who are on the same journey, on the same path, want the same things. They want to be healed. They want to do things differently. They want to live life better than generations before.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I think that's key too, because
Hmm.
I've always said this, is that we were created for community, not isolation. And so
Right.
anytime you're in a situation where you're having those thoughts of, I don't need anybody, I don't need a man, I don't need anybody, I don't,
Bye.
you may not need a
I mean,
physical
I
man
need
right
it.
there in your life right now,
Right, right.
but you
Let me
need
clear.
somebody. And,
Right.
and even scripture says, there's a scripture, and I keep forgetting to get the exact scripture, but it says that two are better than one. That if you have two people, if one falls, you have somebody else there to help you up. But it says, but
Hmm.
woe to the man that's by himself.
Mm.
When you fall, what you gonna do? And then when you're by
Hit the
yourself, that
ground
is the prime ground for the attack of the enemy, to have
for
you
you to be
send you
alone.
spiraling in a direction that God didn't intend for us to go.
It shows us in the Bible how he worked in isolation when he got Eve to the tree, even when Jesus was in the garden by himself. Let me slither on in and
Hello.
tell you some lies. That's how you
Yeah,
get to the
so
mind.
getting therapy, seeking help, whether it's
Hmm.
getting therapy, having a confidant, a counselor, a life coach. For a life coach, I'm sorry. For me, it was developing my relationship with God. Even though
Hmm.
I did go the therapy route, I have been to therapy a few times. I have a life coach, but my most impactful relationship was getting closer to God,
Hmm.
because God healed me of some things that I, I didn't I didn't have to go to like rehab, and I should
Right.
have. Using drugs and alcohol to self-medicate because I didn't want to deal with the pain.
Right.
And
Right.
and I mean, I literally was, a weekend addict, and but I still could not, you know, what do you call it, get through the day without something.
Hmm.
But never
Hmm.
spent a day in rehab, and I know that that is only because of the grace of God. It was nothing that I did. But getting
Because it's
that
been a
therapy, like I said, my relationship with God, and that may or may not be for everybody, but I'm just saying, hey,
right.
give it a try. That's all I did. Is that, Lord, I
Hmm.
done tried everything else but you.
He said, okay,
He's gonna give you
here we go.
okay.
Hold
And
on tight.
he hasn't disappointed me yet. All right, step number 3, practice self-care and self-compassion. I know
Mm.
I've mentioned this a lot, but I can't stress this enough. Nurturing our mental well-being. We have to nurture our mental well-being. It is really, they say self-care is not selfish. I totally agree with that.
You need it. For me, it is. I know we just talked about how isolation is not good when you're on your healing journey, but for self care, that is my self care to isolate. I need my battery
Mhm.
needs to reset and recharge because you know I'm around people and it's too peoply and my battery is drained. All the energy, the emotions, the negativity. I need just I could sit in the house. I could sit by some water. Just give me a moment to
Mhm.
just be. That's self care for me.
Okay, definitely. I see we have a Mr. Brian Watson. Does he want to be live on the stream or he just wants to
Oh, go live.
if he wants to be live, Brian, you can unmute if you would like to and join the conversation discussion because it would be good to have a man's, point of view. But
It
see, I
would.
don't know if he can. Oh shoot, what did I do? I just sent a message. Okay, so anyway, we're gonna go back. Okay, so and then the last one is step 4 to engage in activities that feed into your life. So
Mhm.
that is, like personal development. I have spent, and probably people like, I ain't spending money on for somebody else to tell me what I need to do with myself. You should, because
Right.
it's called investing. I don't know everything. And
Mhm.
there are some people who, have been through stuff worse than I have and have come out on the other side. And so I'm a huge advocate for personal development because I think
Mhm.
getting involved with personal development really opened up my eyes to see some things about myself and not just reflecting on the blame, because I did that for a lot of years. It was always somebody else's fault as to why I couldn't get something accomplished,
Right.
or why something didn't happen in my life. I always walked around with that victim mentality. If y'all
Mhm.
can relate to that, with everything happening to me, oh my gosh, why this happened to me? And
Yeah. I'm
come
the
on.
only one.
Yeah, I'm the only, yeah, you're the only one. And so personal development has really helped me to, open up my eyes to really
Mhm.
grow and work on me so that I can be available, like you said, available for other people. What about
Mhm.
you?
My method of self development. Well, when I see activities, and I don't know if she joined, but if she did, she would know the word shenanigans.
Uh-huh.
Shenanigans are my activities with good shenanigans with good
Good.
girlfriends. Every
Uh-huh.
now and then, you need to remind yourself that through all of life's hustle and bustle and responsibility, you need an opportunity to unwind, and you can unwind in a healthy way. That is one way. That's an activity for me, and the other, I need to keep my mind occupied because an
Hmm.
idle mind is the devil's playground. So I keep my mind occupied by going. I went back to school. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm done next year, but I'll worry about that then. Yes, Dr. Garrett loading.
Yay! You gonna make you okay. Now go ahead.
So yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do. I just study, work, shenanigans. It's a good combination.
And
Trust me.
shenanigans are good. I'm always down for like a good girl trip. Anywhere near some water, beach. Or
Right,
wine tasting.
right.
Getting involved in like groups or clubs. They have travel clubs. They
Mhm,
have
mhm,
knit. If you like knitting or crocheting or bicycling, or I said for
mhm.
my 65th birthday, I want to take a Harley Davidson motorcycle, and all I have to do is buy my helmet. So I turned 65 this year, so I'm gonna look y'all up. Y'all, anybody want to take a motorcycle? Class with
Um,
me.
I just want to see the picture. I'm not getting on a motorcycle. I already
Okay.
know my limitations. I will
Oh,
I will
okay.
celebrate you
Hey, shenanigans, okay?
Now, if
And then,
after the motorcycle you go wine tasting, I am definitely down for joining that part.
okay, all right, I got you on that. And then also too in other activities like involving yourselves like networking or becoming a part of a
Yeah,
group
a
that
social
is
group.
building positive relationships, friendships, making sure that you're around
Hmm.
like-minded individuals. This is always something that you can do. So there's four steps in order
Hmm.
to break those chains and break this cycle of generational trauma and improve your mental health. As I was doing some research, I also came across this book. It's called, and this is a resource. I'll put the link in the comment field once the episode is over. It's called It Didn't Start With You. And this is by, his name is Mark Wolin. Yeah, and I think he is I don't know, I'm not quite
A
sure if he's
therapist, psychotherapist.
yeah, but he actually like breaks it down and talks about how it says the latest scientific research now making headlines supports what many have long intuited, that traumatic experience can be passed down through generations. So it didn't start with you. Builds on the work of leading experts in post-traumatic stress, including Mount Sinai School of Medicine neuroscientist Rachel Yehuda and
Hmm.
psychiatrist Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps Score. Now, that book I have read, and it's an excellent book. People don't really understand how the body maintains trauma. And so this book
Mm.
actually dives deep into, because a lot of times, like I said, we go into that victim mode and we want to blame ourselves
Hmm.
when it started way back before us. And so this is a resource that is available. Like I said, I'll put the link in the chat. And as always, is references because we are nearing the end of our Mental Health Awareness Month. But there's websites, mentalhealth.org, also mentalhealthamerica.com. You have the Alzheimer's Association, if for anyone who is dealing with an aging or could be 40 or 50-year-old that is dealing with any type of dementia or Alzheimer's. It is a
Hmm.
wonderful avenue, an outlet for help. Also, BetterHelp is a therapy, so online therapy service with licensed therapists. As always, if you are feeling some type of way where you feel like you're going to hurt yourself or anything, please, please, please reach out. They have a dial 988 or 800 number and talk to someone. Also, they have, our millennials like to text. And
Yeah.
so they have a text number to connect with a trained crisis counselor. And as always, if you can't reach out to somebody, call 911 and get to your nearest emergency room. So I'm going to close out with just reiterating breaking the chains of generational trauma is vital for improving our mental health and overall well-being. And so what we learned is that we got to address and process the traumas passed down through our generations, not only for ourselves, but that others can be break free from
Hmm.
harmful patterns and behaviors. The goal is to empower people, individuals, that means each and every one of you, to seek healing and support if it's needed, which can lead to a more fulfilling and balanced life, healthier relationships, and healthier families. We got to do it,
Yep.
y'all. It's important to recognize the impact of generational trauma on mental health and take some proactive steps. Proactive steps. That
Right.
means do some offense towards breaking the cycle for future generations because our babies need it. These cycles need to be broken. Generational cycles need to be broken. And
Can I
remember that
say
it
something?
all begins with the
I'm
uh-huh.
sorry. I just,
Oh, go ahead.
I just feel like somebody needs to know, and I'm speaking to single mothers that have children that are watching them suffer in silence, thinking I'll just keep it to myself. I'm just gonna push through. Please seek therapy. I guarantee you, your babies will be happier to see you get help because he or she will be more inclined to get help if there's something that has trickled down from your generation or the generation before. Um, Therapy is so important, and so often in our families and our elders, it's not something you do. You keep it
Mm-hmm.
to yourself and you don't talk. It is time that we start talking
Yeah.
and we
Stop
start
suffering
sharing and
in
we start
silence.
healing because your kids are watching you.
Exactly. Oh my God, that is so wonderful. And that really hit me because I actually had that conversation this morning with a young lady who was a single
Mm,
mom. And
mhm.
yes, wow, that really hit me. But wow, that took my breath away.
See, it was meant to happen
It's
today, just
meant to
like this.
happen, but that's the beauty of it, because we have to understand that we each have the power to create positive change. And when
Mhm.
we break free from the past, reach out, get help, let somebody know what you're struggling with so that you can get the help that you need. So we got to continue to prioritize our mental health, support one another with the journey. So thank you very much, Sonia, for
You are
hopping on.
welcome.
This was an impromptu
It
hop
was
on.
meant to
I
happen.
appreciate you so much. I really do. I appreciate you so much. My heart is just overwhelmed right now. Um, just the growth that I've seen in you, and we each know, and where, what we've been through, what we've come
Mhm.
from, where we've come from, and how this, God has strengthened both of us to
Yep.
be those vessels that are breaking the chains,
Yes.
that are breaking the cycles in our family. And so I just want you to know that I'm so thankful that God put you on my mind, because I actually asked someone else, but God worked everything out, and it was the right person that needed to be on here to talk about this and have this discussion. And I just
Mhm.
want to thank you so much for making yourself available, because y'all, she has stopped on the side of the freeway
I was making this happen.
to
I
be
was making this
on live.
happen.
So this was a God thing, and I'm so grateful to you, Sonia. And I can't wait, because we will be collaborating with some other things. And as soon as things, calm down a little bit, definitely having some conversations. So I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. And until next week, don't forget, we still have one more Thursday for the month of May with
Mental health.
mental health awareness. And I want to let you guys know I locked in a guest for next week. She literally is going to blow you on mind. You think that, oh my God, I'm not gonna tell too much of her story, but anyway, we're gonna work it out.
Just for
So
that, I'm calling in.
yeah, look, and the title is Healthy Mind, Healthy You. And so it's,
Okay.
because it all begins in our mind, and, it begins with a thought. So until
It
next
does. It
week,
does.
never forget, you are important, you are valuable, and you are needed. God bless each and every one of you. And until next week, you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.
Awesome.